Okay, it is 1 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting of the Architectural Review Board to order. It's January 5th, 2026. This is the annual meeting of the ARB. Carolyn, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Henningsen,
Here.
Mr. Hancock is absent. Mr. Stoner,
Here.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Here.
and Mr. Vanderwerf.
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks. The first item of business is to elect the chair. Would anyone like to make a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Chris Henningsen.
I'll second.
And like to
Vanderwerf.
take the vote?
Okay, ready? Yep. Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner.
Aye.
Thank you.
And Chris, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, all right. So we will, guess if anybody would like to nominate a vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Frank Hancock.
I'll second that. We could put that to a vote.
All right, Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next order of business is to adopt the 2026 ARB submittal and meeting schedule. Anybody would like to make a motion?
I'll move to adopt it.
I'll second that.
Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
and Mr. Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. And last order of business is to adopt the ARB rules of procedure, which I'll make a motion to adopt that.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. And I just want everybody to know that I did not have a very extensive re-election campaign. So that was the will of the people.
I think you're riding your own coattails from last year.
Today's meeting is a hybrid meeting. The public may access and participate in the meeting electronically. Instructions for doing so are posted on the Albemarle County website at the Albemarle County calendar. The public has real-time audiovisual access to this meeting over Zoom and real-time audio access over telephone, both as provided in the lawfully posted meeting notice. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the county's website calendar. This meeting is a public record and subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. All speakers, when it is your turn to speak, please state your name for the record. Applicants who are making presentations, note that your presentation is limited to a total of 15 minutes, which you can divide among your team members. Staff will let you know when the 15 minutes are up. If applicants in the meeting room have team members attending virtually who will need to present, please make that known when you come to the podium. Everyone who is participating virtually, please mute your microphone until it is your turn to speak. Do any ARB members have anything to disclose?
No.
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 I do. I'll be recusing from the work session on the FastMart, since I was part of the firm that designed the building originally. So. Do any members of the public want to comment on an item that's not on the agenda for review?
I have no one online either.
All right, sounds good. We don't have any consent agenda items today, so we'll move to our first regular review item. We have two today. First one is ARB-2025-30 Micro Air.
Okay, this is a proposal to construct an addition on the north side of the existing Micro Air building and to undertake related site improvements. The site is located on the south side of Airport Road. It's a short distance east of Timberwood and Grand Forks Boulevards. The existing building is visible from the Airport Road entrance corridor, and the addition, which is proposed for the entrance corridor side of the building, will therefore also be visible, and it will be situated approximately 400 feet from the street. The ARB reviewed and recommended approval of the initial site plan for this project in September of last year. Site layout of the final site plan, which is under review today, is much as it was in September. In the staff report for today's meeting, we noted a few minor technical issues with the landscape plan. One of those was regarding the pin oaks along Airport Road. In the report, it said that the planting size was too small, and that was not correct. The pin oaks are mostly interior to the parking lot and along Grand Forks Boulevard, and they are shown at the right size. One other landscaping item I'd like to point out is regarding the landscaping around the stormwater facility. The number and the variety of plants there are great, but the placement of the plants will tend to emphasize that engineered form. So we suggested extending some of the plants into the frontage planning to help integrate that into the site better. The lighting plan also has a few minor technical issues. Recommendations include revisions to bring spillover, maximum illumination levels, pole height, and fixture color temperature in line with the guidelines requirements. New information with this application is the architectural design of the addition. The proposal is for an addition with a very contemporary appearance. The building form is consistent with the existing structure, as is the building height, and the proposal includes painting the existing building to be compatible with the addition. The design has no real connection to the historic architecture of the county, but with its storefront windows, clear story windows, and entrances with canopies, the design does have much more architectural detail on the entrance corridor face of the structure than the existing building has. The design also places layers of landscaping between the building and the street, and that will help to soften the appearance of the building and integrate it into the corridor. Our recommendation is for approval with the revisions listed in the staff report. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you have.
All right, thanks a lot, Margaret. Guess we'll see if anybody has questions. Dave?
Thank you for your report, Margaret. No questions.
Frank?
Nope, no questions here either. Thank you.
Tara?
No questions. Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have any questions either. If the applicant has a presentation.
Thank you, Margaret. Good afternoon, ARB members. My name is Chuck Repp. I'm with Collins Engineering. I had the pleasure of working on this project. We also have a few members of the architecture team available for questions as well on some of the specifics with the building design. What you're looking at here is just an illustrative rendering of the site with the addition on it, showing the proposed landscaping and how everything sits. It also does show the extension of Gorkmar Drive in the future roundabout at Airport Road. Just taking into consideration that was coming, so we wanted to make sure we designed the site to work with all that. Couple of photos. Margaret already went through quite a few of them. So you have a bit of a berm along Airport Road, and it kind of comes down to grade as you get to the intersection entrance into the property there. There are some existing trees, but we've certainly proposed quite a bit more. You have an existing building there that's primarily brick, not a lot of windows. So really the main goal of this addition was to provide additional space, but also find a way to bring some light into the building through additional windows and really create more of a prominent entrance for visitors and for future employees and existing employees accessing the building. So these are a number of renderings from different views around the site showing the proposed addition in relationship to the site and the existing building out there. I'll just kind of cycle through some of them, show you kind of a lot of emphasis on natural light, bringing that into the building and creating an entrance. So one thing I'll note, this is the primary entrance for visitors accessing the building, and there'll be a secondary entrance on the back corner there for employees to access as well. This is a view from down at the road level, so where you do see that berm. As Margaret mentioned, we've got a good bit of landscaping, trees, shrubs, and whatnot planted along there, as well as new plantings in the parking lot to try and improve the view of that and bring it up to standards for the entrance corridor. This is a view coming into the site, into the parking area. Just a couple of more views of the proposed addition. Again, out from Airport Road. as you get closer to where the grade is more even with the roadway. Kind of a bird's eye view. This is just a copy for our landscape plan showing that. Certainly have no problems with any of the recommendations from staff on plants, species, and sizes, making those minor adjustments. I'm certain we can feather in some of the plantings from the storm pond into the sign area and along the landscape, the roadway landscape there to integrate that a little bit better, make it a little more cohesive. Lighting plan, again, no problem with any of those recommendations in terms of working with our lighting rep to refine that a bit and bring it into conformance. The goal there, I will say, is there's existing lighting, so we're really trying to kind of match that with the existing fixture. That's why I went with that, trying to, there's really no work happening back here, so we didn't plan on redoing that area. Really focusing on the adjustments that we're making to the main parking area and the entrance into the site. And then there are some floor plan. This shows the addition here, so primarily space for future employees and for the front entrance access. And how it relates to the existing building on the left side there. Shows a roof plan and a couple of architectural elevations of the building as well. And then these are a couple of sections drawn in from the entrance road up top here. You can see everything at grade as you approach, much more sense of arrival at the building. And then from out on Airport Road, showing where that berm is, a small part of the building visible above that existing topography there. And that's really what we have. As I mentioned, a couple members of the architecture team, Austin and Morris, are available as well online virtually to help answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot for the presentation. I guess we'll start with Tara, if you have any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I don't have any questions.
Dade?
Great. Thank you for the presentation. I guess as a question for the architectural team, the existing facility, I guess, seems to have a very strong datum in terms of the differentiation of color at the top and then the wall color. The proposed addition doesn't relate to that explicitly. Was there any consideration given to how to reconcile or options for reconciling with the horizontal datums in the existing building?
Probably a question for Austin, if you see him online.
I'm sorry.
Should be a gentleman named Austin online.
Yep, let me,
Patch him through to answer that. That'd be
all
great.
right, Austin, go ahead and unmute yourself. You're ready.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Cannot hear you.
Can you all hear me now?
We won't.
Hello, can you all hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Yes, yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, so my name's Austin Williams. I'm one of the architects on the job, and I'm with Morris, who is the project lead on this job.
And I'm sorry, we weren't able to catch what was the question. Could you restate the question for us?
Be happy to. Yeah, thank you. It was whether there'd been any consideration of how to relate to the datum and the existing building's facade. It seems to have a strong white band at the top and at the bottom.
So we propose that we're going to just touch up the paint for the white bands on the top and the bottom and leave it as white. And then the center band that is currently red, we're going to paint over with a more medium gray so that there's still a contrast between the bands at the top and the bottom. But we just thought that the existing red, wouldn't match the architectural intent with the addition.
Thank you. And then for the windows in the main facade facing the EC, is there any floor in between the upper clear story window and the lower opening, or is that wall open the full height?
So it would be open. We're going to cap the offices in between where the clear story windows are and the lower windows so that the clear story windows can be seen throughout the entire space in the open office and beyond.
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, would it be feasible to express to join the clear story in the lower window in what at least appears to be one opening, either with spandrel or with additional glazing?
You're saying to extend the lower windows to meet up with the clear story windows?
Yes, just whether that's feasible.
It wouldn't be feasible due to some of the construction techniques that we're using for the building. This is going to be a pre-engineered metal building. We've got girts in that area, so we're trying to conceal some of those and keep the interior open as much as possible.
Thank you. And one last question. It looked like there might be some projection of the colored metal panels from the gray metal panel, like they might be a bit proud in one of the views. Is that the case? Do they project further than the gray metal panel?
They do, in fact. The metal panels have variations, striations in them. The striations are different depending on the color. So you have some texture there at the front entrances that breaks up some of the monotonousness of the IMP, the insulated metal panel that is shown as gray in the image.
Right. Thank you. I agree. It seems effective in those renderings. What is the dimension of that projection from the plane?
They're generally about 6 inches to a foot, somewhere in that range.
Thank you.
Yep.
No other questions.
All right, Frank, any questions?
I don't have any other questions. Yeah, thanks.
All right, and I don't have any questions either. Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
I do not have anyone online.
All right, in that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we'll start with you, Frank, if you have any comments.
I don't really have any comments. I think what they've crafted looks quite nice. Certainly, facing the EC, it's contemporary, maybe not completely consistent with Albemarle County historic character, but I think it's a nice addition. I don't have any issues.
Thanks. Tara?
Yeah, thank you. I don't have, particular issues with the project as presented. I think the fact that it clearly identifies the entries, presents some fenestration on the entrance corridor, and presents elements that are closer to human scale than the existing industrial buildings certainly are all, in keeping with the intent of the guidelines. And, while there may be elements of detailing that might, that I think that Dave was getting to, that as an overall presentation, I'm quite comfortable with that as being a good addition to the entrance corridor.
All right, thanks. Dave?
Right. No, thank you. I mean, I think it's a positive proposal overall, and I think my questions were guided mainly by, I do think that the facade towards the parking as folks approach the entry is especially effective at breaking down the scale of the wall. And, if the applicant were willing to consider applying some of that same approach or attention to the main EC facing facade, I think it could be improved somewhat in that regard if those scalar elements were introduced. But largely appreciate the proposal. I think I do appreciate staff's question about the landscaping and how it may reinforce or not the engineered appearance of the stormwater facility. Driving by the site, it does seem like it's quite low from the road, so I'm not sure how visible it would be, but if the applicant and a future presentation could share any thoughts on or views that would illustrate that whether the planting adjustments might be helpful in screening the engineered appearance of that facility, that would be helpful.
Thanks. I agree with everything that's been said, and I think it's certainly an improvement over what's there. I guess my only comment would be to highlight staff's concern about the visibility of the mechanical equipment on the roof. And just because I've been caught with that in the past, so I don't know what you could do to double check, but if you wanted to consider raising the parapet height a little bit to just to make sure, that would be good. So I guess if we could take a look at the recommended motion.
Our recommendation was for approval with the conditions listed in the staff report. And I have crossed through number 11, which was the one about the tree size that was not, that was an error.
All right, does anybody have any changes or additions, subtractions?
None for me.
None for me.
No, I don't.
No, me either. Anybody like to make a motion?
I will move for approval of certificate of appropriateness for ARB 2025-00030. Micro air with conditions listed in the staff report amended as follows. Eliminate item 11.
I'll second that. Could put it to a vote.
Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
and Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So our second regular review item today is ARB 2025-31 Airport Industrial. Margaret?
Okay, this is a proposal to construct a development for light industrial flex office space at a site located on the north side of Airport Road. It's primarily north and east of Timberwood Boulevard. And the ARB reviewed the initial site plan for this project in August of last year. You recommended approval with the condition that entrance corridor frontage landscaping be provided with phase 1 of the development. The top image on this slide is the site layout presented in the initial site plan in August, and the bottom image is the current site layout proposed with this final site plan. The development will be visible from the entrance corridor. Building number 1, which is the southernmost building in phase 1, is set back approximately 430 feet from the entrance corridor street. The end elevation of that building faces Airport Road. The buildings have a utilitarian purpose and they have a utilitarian appearance. One of the features that reduces that a bit is the corners of the buildings. The corners have a slight projection and have added colors and materials, but the end elevations are blank. The central bay of the end elevation is just a stained concrete and has no visual connection to the corner bays. An alternate treatment for the central bay and greater projections for the corner bays are recommended, but given the layout of the site, those changes may only be needed for building number 1. The long elevations on both sides of buildings 1 through 5 would also be visible from Airport Road. The east elevations have overhead and pedestrian doors, and those doors provide relief for the walls between the corner bays, and they also create a rhythm along the wall. The west elevations try to mimic that with stucco panels in place of the overhead doors, but the stucco panels don't provide the detail and relief that the overhead doors provide, and they may end up just looking more like a doorway that has had the door removed and has now been filled in with stucco. So we've recommended an alternate treatment for those panels. The stone veneer that is proposed is Ready Stack Alabama from Mountain View Stone. The manufacturer describes it as a blend of rich earth tones, and Sherwin-Williams Sky High is the color proposed for the concrete stain above the stone veneer at the corner bays. That sky tone is not typical in entrance corridors, so we've recommended an earth tone instead. In the staff report, we had identified a few technical issues with the lighting plan that need to be resolved and a few issues with the landscape plan as well. The primary landscape issue, as I mentioned earlier, is the frontage landscaping along Airport Road. It has not been included in the first phase of development, but it's needed to contribute to a consistent frontage treatment along the corridor and to help integrate the utilitarian buildings into the surroundings. That layer of landscaping can help soften the appearance of the buildings and allow for more flexibility in the building design. We've recommended that the changes listed in the staff report be incorporated into revised plans to be reviewed by the ARB in a future meeting. Happy to try to answer any questions you have.
Thanks a lot, Margaret. Guess we'll start with Tara if you have any questions.
Margaret, could you go back to the, I guess it's the street view? I think very early in the presentation. This is the latest slide.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last thing you said. Do you
I
want to
think
keep-
earlier in the
Early?
presentation. Yeah, I think it was that one you just passed.
Oh.
So this is the view. Okay, all right, thank you. That's all. Appreciate it.
Frank,
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Dade?
Thanks for your report, Margaret. No questions.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have any questions either. So if the applicant has a presentation.
Hello again. All right, once again, I'm Chuck Rapp, Collins Engineering. Palmer Ferguson is represented from the architecture team online as well to help answer some of the more architectural design-based questions. But I'll walk you through some of these and hopefully I can address some of staff's concerns here. This is an overall view of the site. So you try to really landscape the back of the building where we could, preserve existing trees to help screen some of the back of those bays back there. As well as line the street trees, and kind of screen the parking as much as possible with shrub plantings in between the sidewalk and the parking areas. The back area again is for future development as well. And then there's this front parcel here for another future development as well. As Margaret mentioned, this is a cleared site already. It's basically a pad level. Pad ready site for industrial development, trying to kind of match what's already been put out there and continue the pattern along that roadway out there. These are some of the views from the architecture team showing their building on the site with the vacant pad site on the front there as well. One thing I would like to do, so I actually initially did do street trees along Airport Road and this front portion here of this pad site. Right here, there is an easement line, and all the way to the road is an existing service authority easement that runs along there. So it's pushing the street trees significantly into the site, which will be fine to work out at a site plan level. I was just hesitant to do it at this stage before we have an actual site plan on that. I didn't want to encumber the layout of that future property really until we have entrances and access and everything laid out. So I was hoping to push that off until this is developed. I certainly totally agree with staff that it would help the appearance of these buildings and help kind of establish that rhythm along Airport Road, something that's certainly strongly desired. I was just worried about putting a bunch of large trees along here and then having to relocate them in the near future when this is developed. So I was hoping to kind of coordinate that with the development of this site if possible, just to fit everything in together as well. Kind of walk through, you kind of see the level. So we really try to kind of, it's pretty heavily planted along the street and in the back to try and screen it. To really kind of bring back some vegetation on that site and screen kind of the undesirable elements from view. Lighting plan, I have no problem coordinating with our lighting representative to work with staff's comments on that. We can certainly do that. Basically, it's a combination of building mounted lighting and pole lighting in the parking lots to try and reduce spillover on the adjacent properties and keep things kind of tight around the buildings where possible here. We have some views, architectural elevations of the buildings as well that Palmer can certainly speak to in more detail. I believe Margaret went over them in a fairly detailed manner as well. This shows kind of the internal layout of these buildings trying to preserve some flexibility for future tenants for different bays and where exactly how these things are internally divided for future tenants as well. And this shows that line of sight from Airport Road coming in. Again, we would have more street trees here, certainly will when this site is developed, to further break up that view of the south end of those buildings as well. I believe that's what we have. So again, happy to answer any questions, and Palmer should be available, I believe, Carolyn, if questions for architecture. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. I guess we'll start with Frank, if you have any questions.
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Dave?
Sure, thank you. I don't know if the applicant has had a chance to consider staff's comments. Just be interested to hear any thoughts that the architecture team may have on possible adjustments to color or detail approach for the elevation in question for blankness.
Dr. Palmer.
Yeah, I think the color comments are good. We'd be happy to look at more earth tones there if you all can hear me. So can you all hear me? Sorry.
Hold on. Mode in. There we go. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry, yes. Can you all hear me now? Is that
I still
working
can't
for
hear
you? Sorry, it looks like I'm unmuted on my end if you all can hear me.
Okay, can you try now?
Can you hear me now? Trying again there.
Okay, try it now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I had not seen the panel's comments before today, but certainly on color palette, would be happy to look at more earth tones there. One of the comments on the elevations with the stucco panels, we can look at some different options there. Some of the intent there is to leave those sort of as knockout panels for the future tenants, to where they may be roll-up doors or larger doors or windows, depending on what the final treatment is there along the facade. So we don't have tenant direction on what they'll want there, but those stucco knockout panels, I suspect, will not remain as shown in the long term, because tenants will certainly want different things on the facade, be it more windows or more access there. I do have a little bit of a question about what you all were thinking in terms of additional articulation on the short wall facing Airport Road. Does the group have any comments, suggestions on what they're looking for there? I think that will be fairly well screened with trees.
I don't know that we have any prescriptive suggestions, just interested in your consideration of how to relieve blankness in that facade.
Okay. Yeah, and we could look at additional windows or a dormer or something to that effect. Some screens, if we think that would be sufficient.
Right, and I guess just because you mentioned that there'll be tenant requirements and there'll be adjustments to those knockout panels, this may be more a question for you, Margaret, but those modifications, do those come back, or would we normally be looking for sort of typicals for what would be implemented later if this is not the facade that's ultimately going to be there?
I would think that work would require a building permit, so that would come back for review.
Okay, thank you.
We could submit a version of the elevation with a handful of options there, if that would be helpful.
Streamline it in the future for
Be it an overhead door or windows or something like that. Would that be just to get it in front of the group?
Hi, sorry. My name's Hunter Wood, United Land Corporation. We're the developer of this. Another thing too is that front 2.5 acre parcel, whatever you put on there is going to screen this first building tremendously. So obviously cost is very important these days in trying to do things, and the rent for a light industrial building is not a very high dollar amount. So if we could look into the future as to that front parcel, we'll eventually have something on it. We're in talks with 2 people right now that are looking at that parcel. So if you could kind of just put that into the realm of what you're asking for, is that first building is probably not going to be seen a whole lot at final development. And then really the buildings 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are really not going to be seen at all from the entrance corridor. Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't think I have any further questions.
All right, Tara?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
I guess, so there is some landscaping in front of that. There's kind of that triangular,
Yep.
landscaped area. Can you just briefly like walk me through what that landscaping is, like what's proposed there?
I believe it's just a shade tree and 2 flowering trees, if I am correct, but, let me see here, I can pull it up. Yeah, so it's just a shade tree with 2 flowering trees next to it, so we can certainly enhance that, add some more if need be to help break that up, if that would be easier. But we also have the street trees along the sidewalk there as well, which are just, more of a calmer, street tree as well, to fit in that narrow strip. So between all of it, we've got quite a few trees, you know, kind of trying to break that up.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what, like this, so the street trees, like what would be like the anticipated height of those trees? I'm just trying to get at like how.
Yeah, you're talking 30, 40 feet.
screening, Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
that'd be
okay.
true, yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks.
I have one other question. Do you guys anticipate street trees on the other side of that private entrance?
We do, and again, initially we had this kind of laid out and then I pulled it back just because, again, I assume there's going to be an access point into that site, probably from at least 2 of these sites, if not 3, and just didn't want to pin that in without knowing that. Assuming there's also going to be grading on the sites, whatever we plant, if we do it with this particular part of the project, is going to be disturbed. As you get into the site work out there, it just seemed like kind of a waste.
All right, thank you. If there are no more questions, are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
No, sir.
All right, well, in that case, ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we'll start with Dade.
Sure. So I appreciate the applicant's observations about future development and yeah, the economics of this one. I think, you know, as staff has pointed out, it's really just a matter of our needing to look at this without what may come in the future and approve it, you know, in the eventuality that maybe it stays that way for quite some time in the EC. Sometimes development doesn't happen as expected. I do think, Chris, appreciate your asking about the landscaping. The precedent of, I guess, the Better Living Material Yard comes to mind, where there's very blank wall, and actually I think the blanker the better, with very robust screening of evergreens and things that were planted at a larger scale. I think that would make it pretty simple from my perspective to ignore whatever concerns there may be about blankness if effectively there were a pretty thick and opaque landscape buffer, and that way, regardless of the timing of the future development, you know, it would serve to mitigate any of the concerns I think that we have at this juncture.
All right, thanks. Tara?
Yes, thanks for the presentation. I think I'm in agreement with Dade that given the distance from the entrance corridor, the measures that were already taken, and provided that some consideration goes towards adjustments in the color scheme, I think that this would be a reasonable addition to the entrance corridor and in conformance. So, you know, I think some attention to the landscape and seems to be a appropriate way to proceed.
All right, thanks. Frank?
Yeah, I agree. I think given the distance off the entrance corridor and the planned development on the out parcel up front, which granted may take a while, but just sheer distance, I think is a pretty good insulator in this case. Some additional landscaping on the end of that first building wouldn't hurt, but overall I'm comfortable with. Subject to the color changes, which I agree.
All right, thanks. I agree. I don't really have much to add to what was already said. I think a color change would be good. But I do think there's an opportunity for that landscaping to kind of make up for some of the blankness on that one facade. So if we could take a look at the recommended motion.
I might offer maybe for item 3, we could add to that just to say, as an alternative, consider increased landscape screening.
Is item 2 and 6, are they duplicated?
Yeah.
We didn't discuss item 2 in great detail. I don't know, do other members concur that that should remain, or if the color and landscape are added, or is the massing acceptable?
Could someone remind me what the projection is currently as shown in the drawings? Is that just the thickness of the stone veneer?
Gonna be something like 8 to 12.
I think given the distance, anything reasonable you could do to increase that projection wouldn't read significantly. If you made it like 16, I don't think it would be like a huge difference from the corridor, so I would feel comfortable striking that.
Yeah, I agree.
I would be comfortable striking 1 as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Striking 1. The EC frontage landscaping.
Is there any way, I just don't know what the right way to approach this, because I think like the EC landscaping will probably go in at some point on that project site plan, right? But then there are things like the plantings on the other side of the street, or like, but those wouldn't be required by the entrance corridor guidelines, right? Making that side street symmetrical, for instance.
That would be considered an interior road, and there are.
Oh, interior road. Okay, yeah. So then never mind. I think that's fine. Striking 1.
And do we want to just say provide proposed typical tenant improvement windows and garages to streamline future building permit applications?
What's the intent?
That planning bed, the same one that Chris, you had pointed out? At a
That's
different-
the
Same
triangle.
area.
That's the triangular one.
It's what would be impacted by item 3 if additional landscaping were provided.
Yeah, it seems like we, right, covered that. Item 8, could you refresh my memory what site note number 1 is?
It's the one that it talks about rooftop equipment and it's not completely
Okay.
coordinated with everything else in the plan. And
As of right now, we are not going to be putting rooftop units. We will be putting all heating, cooling equipment, the gas furnaces for the back space, the storage space. Basically, I call these contractor condos. So you'd have a small front office and then you'd have a storage area at the back. That would be just gas heater. And then the front would be a regular HVAC unit. And placing those between the two buildings so they're not seen. Unless you're right between.
Right.
To eliminate any.
Okay.
Margaret, would you mind just scrolling up to the recommended motion?
yes, so a question for you, do you want to see any of these changes back or do you want to just approve this with these amended changes for staff review?
I guess my only question is on the knockout panels. Like, is that something you feel, given a reasonable indication of what is proposed, that that's something you can move forward with? Item number 4.
We could also bring any of this back to you just for a work session, if you just wanted to keep things moving along more quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that would work.
The knockout panels are just if someone wants to take the whole day and maybe they want to be able to drive a truck through. We had the same thing when we did Federal Express out on 29 North where Centera is now. We had where trucks could drive in, be unloaded, and drive out at the back end. And it's kind of an option that we're putting there, just because I don't know what trying to remain as flexible as possible.
Yeah, I think if we just saw if something was on paper that like these are some of the things that could happen, it might make it easier for tenants in the future.
So it sounds like those options, the landscaping in that triangular area just south of Building 1 and the revised color are the 3 things you might want to look at in a work session. Does that sound right?
I think so, yeah.
I'd be comfortable with staff.
Yeah, actually, I would too. I didn't think anything was that.
No, I'm comfortable with that being reviewed at a staff level if that's
Yeah, I would agree.
acceptable to Margaret.
And then if
Sorry,
there was
was that,
anything,
it's a little hard to hear you. All right. Everything for staff level review or anything to come back?
I think unless there's something that is, causing trouble.
Okay.
But, I think
Great.
it could just be all staff.
so ready for a motion, I can make one, or.
Okay.
I'll move for approval of the certificate of appropriateness for ARB 2025-00031 with the following revisions: strike items 1, 2, and 6, and 15. Add to item 3, consider additional landscape screening as an alternative. Revise number 4 to state provide typical treatments for knockout panels for review.
Second.
All right, thanks. If we could put that to a vote.
Okay. Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, and so we'll move on to our one work session today, which is ARB 2025-22 Crozet Fastmart.
On ours, it says it's a regular review item, but
The
it's
regular
a,
review item.
but it is a work session.
Work session.
Thank you.
We didn't I didn't know you changed that.
Yeah. Mine.
Yeah, it's a work session.
Thanks.
Okay, this work session is to review some options for the renovation of the Crozet Fast Mart. As a reminder, on October 6th of last year, the ARB reviewed the original proposal to revise the exterior of the building. The building's located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Crozet Avenue, Three Notched Road, and Railroad Avenue. It's in the heart of downtown Crozet and in the Crozet National Register Historic District. The primary elements of the original proposal that were subject to ARB review included painting the red brick walls black, applying Nichiha panels to a portion of the northeast elevation, and replacing the lights in the fuel pump canopy. The panels and the replacement lights were eliminated from the proposal, and staff's analysis of the paint proposal indicated that painting the walls would be inconsistent with the guidelines for several reasons. Those reasons were outlined in the October staff report, which was linked to the memo for today's meeting, and we can review those in detail if needed. Although staff's recommendation was to not paint the walls, discussion at the meeting suggested that at least some ARB members were open to considering it, but not as presented in October. The ARB's action was to direct the applicant to return with a revised design to be discussed in a work session. And staff have been working with the applicant on revisions since that October meeting, and there are 3 options for you to consider today. The first option is to paint the walls a single color. That proposed color is gray, Sherwin-Williams mystical shade, and there are paint samples, color samples at your places to review. Also included in the proposal is painting the uppermost roof, and that's the one over the clock, the Sherwin-Williams positive red. The rest of the roof would be painted Granite Peak, which is Sherwin-Williams 6250, and that's a dark gray. And then the bases of the canopy columns would be painted Iron Ore, which is the original shade of black that was proposed. The colors for the roofs and the column bases are consistent throughout the 3 options that are being presented today. And the applicant has also presented some alternative shades of gray for consideration if needed. Those are also at your places for review. The second color scheme is to paint the lower wall of the buildings the Iron Ore black color, and the upper walls the mystic shade gray. And then the third option is to paint the lower wall, again, the Iron Ore black, and the upper wall the wicker work color, which is that shade of tan. Just to note, ask you to keep in mind that the renderings illustrate an approximation of what the building will look like when it's painted. Both the brick and the mortar would be painted, although in the renderings, it doesn't really come out that way. Each brick is outlined in black. So the color change between the brick and the mortar, and some of that texture would be lost with painting. Also, the windows have white mullions, and the interior of the building looks very dark from the outside during the day. If you really zoom into the renderings, you can see that the mullions look white. The color of the glass has been changed in this round of renderings, but the dark interior isn't really reflected. So we just want to alert you to those things that may look different in real life compared to the renderings if the building is painted. We have the recommendations from the original October 6th staff report, a drafted motion also if you want to approve one of the alternative paint schemes today, and we can come back to these details after your discussion. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
In summary, Keys, should I run this or just hand it off? Either way, I wouldn't make any comments or anything, so.
Fine for you to.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. And I guess we'll start with Frank if you have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
Dave?
Great. Thank you, Chris. I think as I recall in our discussion, at least I think some other members may have expressed an openness to considering like a lime wash or a more, not an opaque paint, but, a more historic treatment. Are all of the color schemes proposed opaque paints, or are there any lime washes proposed among the options? Thank you.
Thanks. Tara?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thanks. If the applicant has a presentation, now would be the time.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. My name is Eric Warner. I'm with GPM Investments.
Can you bring the microphone a little closer to you?
I
Thank
sure
you.
can. Sorry about that.
That's
My name
okay.
is Eric Warner. I'm with GPM Investments. We are here today to discuss our store number 3516, located at 1248 Crozet Avenue in Crozet. As discussed, we were here in October. We went through the review process. We took those notes at hand. This was the original store that we brought in here in our attempts to try to take away from what we are doing at all of our other locations to be a little bit more consistent with what you guys had. We were asked to come back. We took a look at a few things that I'll share with you here today. Just to remind you guys, this is the existing interior of the location today. Our new future location will only have 3 existing walls left inside. It's this wall here where the power panels are, this janitor's room here, and this cooler are the only existing pieces of the interior facility to remain. The old Dairy Queen is going to be removed. All of these pieces inside will be changed to a new location. So as you see here, these are the 3 existing locations here, and all new sales floor, an additional cooler, pushing the sales counter a little closer to the door, bringing in with a food offering here, fountain around the back, coffee and some frozen, and then some additional gondolas over here on this side. The kitchen will be in the back as it is today, hidden from view. And taking a look at the existing elevations that we've provided, we used a couple of things that we reviewed. This location here is directly across the street from our location. This is actually the parking lot and the approach of our location here, looking across to, I believe it's an ambulance location here for the county storage facility, painted gray. This was the color that we tried to match here with the Sherwin-Williams gray color. We also took a look at this location here with an off-white and a dark location. This is about 300 yards to the west of our location here, the Praha Bohemian Cafe. We did review the Pizza Shopping Center, or the Crozet Shopping Center that's across from our location here. And there's a pizza location in there. There's a grayish, greenish building, a blue building kind of in between there, and this pink one across here. It's some natural wood on the corner. So a lot of different media coming up and down the street for sure. And then finally, we took a look at across the location to the south. This is our street light right up here. This is a pediatrics place, painted brick, and then this location over here, this business also painted brick. And then that kind of led us to where we ended up with the presentation from staff here. During the discussions, staff of all of them, if they had to choose one, they said they liked this one most. Our executive team preferred the one with the iron ore on the bottom, simply because it helped kind of break up that look of the building, they thought, and they thought it added some texture and some context to the building as well. But those were the 2 that we really wanted to focus on here, and happy to ask or answer any questions that you have for me, or any questions that you might have with regard to the color samples we've provided as well.
All right, thanks a lot for the presentation. I guess we'll start with Dade if you have any questions.
Sure, thank you. Did y'all give any consideration to a lime wash finish or a mineral stain effectively for the brick in lieu of an opaque paint?
We took a look at it, but we just couldn't get to where we wanted to go. And we didn't think it looked as good as, quite frankly, as painting the building. So yes, sir, we did look at it.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any renderings or other studies of it that you did as part of that consideration?
I do not have those with me now. I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Tara?
Do you have a sense, I know that or I thought that the windows were going to be a darker color in the proposed. Is that true? The new windows?
So the windows are going to remain the same. We're
Oh,
not
okay.
replacing the windows. The white trim around the windows will also remain the same. And it's actually going to be brighter on the inside, so it won't quite look today. When you look at the store today, it's a little bit dark on the inside comparatively. So it creates kind of a blackened window effect. But we're not going to have that. We're going to have a very bright interior. And so that when you look in the building, you'll actually see the components from inside the building there. So,
Okay, thanks. I misunderstood. Appreciate you clarifying.
yeah. Mhm.
Frank?
Do you know what the current roof color is and how it relates to the granite peak that you guys are proposing?
So we had Sherwin-Williams go out and match, and that was the color that they said was the closest match that we could get to the current roof
Okay,
color.
so essentially the roof stays the same.
Stays same color. Yes, sir.
And that's the granite peak is the existing roof color.
Granite Peak is the existing roof color. Yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. If there are no more questions, are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
I have no one online.
In that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we'll start with Tara.
Yeah, I appreciate the applicant raising some of the contextual examples of painted brick in the area. So I think, while my personal preference might be that the building just remain as is or with some aesthetic modifications, I think there is precedent for painting in the corridor. And so, in considering that, I think in terms of what might be the most appropriate for this building, I think the options as proposed, I think option one to me works better because there is, I think for this color scheme, kind of the simpler the better. And I think that general principle might lead me towards considering option one. I think maybe that the bases of the columns and the gas station don't especially need to be a different color. And then from the perspective, looking to the cupola, I think keeping it the same color, or looking at a more muted tone of red that's maybe less fire engine-y, that's more of like a burgundy or something, that's in the same family as the roof, would probably bring it more into relationship with historic color paints that were available and historic colors. That's my initial reaction. I think that the gray shade and the roof color, I don't have any issues with. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
All right, thanks. Frank?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Taro. I think of the options presented, option one best. I also agree that painting the posts or the bases to the posts where the pumps are a different colored just feels awkward. I mean, unfortunately, the building it's such a sort of classical Palladian kind of architecture, and the windows appear black here, but they're really white. I'd probably opt for like fashionable gray, a little bit lighter gray for the brick color, all other things being considered. I'm okay with the red peak. I understand part of this is a branding exercise and you're trying to get some, incorporate your corporate colors some way, shape or form. But I think the more complicated it gets, the more it compromises the sort of existing integrity of the architecture.
All right, thanks. Dade?
Sure. No, like Taro, I appreciate the applicant looking at the context. On the one hand, while I think it does demonstrate that there are a number of painted masonry buildings in the area, I do think this facility differs somewhat significantly in that I think most of those others are quite plain commercial structures, often made of block without much detail in the masonry, and this building has a comparatively good deal of it, most of which really is best appreciated when the mortar and the coursing and that detail is visible. So I am not supportive of painting this structure with an opaque paint. I wish Frank Hancock were with us today. I recall he used the word lime wash as well. I think that could be appropriate to the extent that is not a full opaque covering and allows the character and the detail of the masonry to continue to be visible. I do think this structure has a greater degree of detail and care than many of the others in the downtown area. I would agree with my colleagues that of the opaque options presented, the first is the preferred, although as I've stated before, I don't support painting the building. And while I appreciate the need for branding, I think in some ways the signage and other branding that may ultimately be on the site will be perhaps more effective if the building is simpler in its coloring and the roof doesn't compete with it. So would just offer those observations and thank again the applicant for their close consideration of the district and response to the comments last time.
All right, thank you. So the ARB can choose one of the options presented or ask for additional revisions or information.
So personally, I would prefer the chance to consider a lime wash option and to see some depictions of that. I would love for our colleague Frank Hancock to be able to consider this as well.
Right, so is that a motion, or do we need to make a motion or just request that option?
Would it be possible to get a rendering of a lime wash that's at all accurate?
I know I have colleagues that could do it, but it's whether it's a rendering or it's they could be finding a precedent of an application of a material and having photographs of that. That might be more effective, but there are mineral stains and washes for masonry that are not fully opaque that I think would be a way to freshen this building without obscuring the detail that makes it somewhat distinguished in its context.
I do think that the examples, you do see the age in the Piedmont Pediatrics and the other precedents, the ambulance building, I guess, fire house.
Almost a reason not to paint it gray, right? I mean,
I think so. I would agree with that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, no, and I mean, there are white lime washes and others that wouldn't. I don't think there's a need to match that color and context. I think it's helpful to understand that there is that context, but I don't know that we're asking for or looking for this to match that as much as it to be an appropriate adjustment for this building.
Yeah, I mean, I did have the sense that like with the Praha, for instance, like that's kind of essentially like a modern commercial building with, a flat roof and.
Right.
I mean, like I can see that it's been painted, but yeah, stylistically it's different.
If I understand correctly, the goal here is just to send a message to the public that this is new, it's different, you've rebranded, it's a new store. Is that? That's correct. Correct.
the investment here, right, just below 0.3 million. Side. And the approach is, can't do that much on the inside without letting everybody know something's changed. Like that's how we grow, that's how we get out. That's kind of the idea here. We need something outside that's significant so that we can ensure that when people drive by and have lived here their whole life, it's not the same as what they always.
Did you consider, I think I'd mentioned at the previous meeting, the idea of just doing a nicer new monument sign?
We have taken a look at that monument sign, but our square footage is almost nothing. I mean, we have a postage stamp there. And so that in order to do that, I'd probably be right back here at city council trying to get a bigger sign, which I don't think I'm gonna get. Not on the premier corner there. So I don't have a building sign anywhere. We have some advertising signs, but that's all that we are allowed to have there. We only are allowed the one monument sign that's on the corner. And it is, again, it's very small comparatively. Most of our signs that are on the corners are flag mount, 35-foot tall, few hundred square feet. This is very, very small comparatively.
The issue is like you wouldn't want to go through the process again, submitting an application for a new monument sign, is that?
I don't think the monument sign is what tells people that things have changed. I honestly, the company stance is we need people to be able to see that the building has changed and there's something different about the building to drag people inside the store. I mean, I can go ahead and submit for additional signage, but I don't think it's going to be significant enough to drag or drive additional folks onto the lot. Again, there's no signs on the building. I'm not going to get a sign on that building. That's what we were told initially in the initial application, is the signs will only be replaced. If we want to replace anything, it can only be the faces that we have there.
So let's just be clear about the building mounted signage there. This location is where there was a wall sign, isn't that correct?
It's only an advertising sign. We took that off of the application because
Right, it was the Nichiha panels, that was the issue, not that there was a wall sign. It was the panels and the way they were proposed to be installed. So you do have allowance for a wall sign.
I do. Is there more than one elevation or two?
It doesn't, there's no limit to the number of walls that you can put a sign on. It's the square footage, just has to be, you can't exceed the maximum square footage, and that's based on your
Street front.
the business frontage. And I don't know what that number is right now. But this location, I believe that was designed it was actually part of the design, that there's a brick, there's brick detail around that. So it was meant to be a place for a sign. In terms of the freestanding sign, you would have to show hardship to have a larger sign, and that's just not gonna, doesn't seem possible here.
When we sent our sign people out, that's what they told us, that all we were gonna get to do was reface that existing monument. We couldn't do anything with the building. So I'll take a look at that. For sure. All right.
Somewhat unrelated question. From you all's perspective, what is it that drives your business? What makes, I assume making this change, you want to drive more volume than they're driving today with BP, and what do you guys find to be the primary driver for you as you, I guess you're competing with the Wawas of the world, or
So our drivers are what's inside the store. Food is a big thing right now in convenience stores, obviously. Capacity inside the store. So we're extending the capacity of our cold section there, all of those, and the mix of products inside the store, fountain and coffee, having bean to cup, having multiple choices in a fountain, frozen, different, all of those things. Those things all drive internally. They drive costs and, or not to cost, they drive customers. And in order for us to get those customers in the store, that's the issue that we have. What we've discovered in our business is that when we change things on the inside and we don't change things on the outside, numbers are flat. They don't ever grow. They only grow or lower based on history. However, when we make a change, sometimes all we have to do is change the outside and we see an immediate jump, 4 or 5% year over year on those changes. So what we've learned is we can spend the money inside, but we also have to spend some money outside to let people that drive by every day know that something has changed. Obviously, gas price also drives people to the store. Those are drivers as well. Our packaged beverage from alcohol. This store does sell alcohol, so packaged beverage pricing drives stores. Cigarette pricing drives customers to the stores. We have programs for all of those items, but when we go to change a major change like this, it's important for us to be able to share, hey, something's changed here. And our in the state of Virginia so far, we've done 5 or 6 of these now, and the communication that we're getting back from the public today is, wow, this looks great. Wow, we love it. It's not sitting in a historical corner either, so that's very different. None of the other stores have been, but we are getting very positive remarks back from the customers thus far for the changes that we're making. And we are seeing those sales increases on the inside, which is being driven by the changes on the outside. I shared some of that with you guys last time, if I remember correctly.
Thanks. Appreciate the additional insight.
Okay, so there is no recommended motion, so does anybody want to bring a motion?
Well, I think I can understand the desire to make this a reasonable investment. And I think some of the changes that are proposed, like removing the film on the windows in order to make the stuff visible from the exterior, is like amazing, great change, contributes to the character of the downtown area. Like that seems very positive in my mind. Having said that, like I think, you know, it sits pretty nicely in the downtown landscape as well as a gas station could in this corner of downtown Crozet, looking at the Blue Ridge Mountains. From that perspective, I would be more interested in approaches that don't kind of compromise the work that was put into the bricks and the organizing the structure the way that it was. So, you know, I feel supportive of any changes to site signage. I feel supportive of lime wash or staining. I feel supportive of repainting the roof in a consistent color without a contrasting cupola. But I don't, looking at this image, I don't think I can approve any of the paint options that were presented as is. I don't know what this means for planning the work session and making a path forward, because I do want to see something happen here. I don't think that the current paint schemes get to that point.
So would it be fair to translate that into a recommendation for a follow-up work session to consider an alternative coating for the brick? And I might add, I also appreciate the applicant's desire to make a visual impact that announces some change. I do think that a lime wash and also repainting the roof and freshening the facility would likely make a significant visual impact for the public to let them know there was a big investment underway. I think as something for consideration, appreciate the roof color that's been identified as a match, without changing the coloration or shade tremendously, it might be possible to consider a lighter gray in conjunction with a light lime wash that would be overall a lighter, color scheme for the building and might make that some degree of impact without changing the chroma of the building dramatically.
Would tend to agree. I like what's there now. However, I think I could support an opaque gray on the brick. I agree with Dade. I think it detracts. You'll lose some of the detailed warbling of the brick, which is unfortunate, but I don't think it's a killer. I appreciate the applicant's desire to make it clear that something's changed. I think signage can definitely help. I think given the size of Crozet, even if you put that money into advertising, I don't know whether you could get, similar public response, but that's not our purview. But I think the gray would be okay. I don't. I agree. I would not vote for the iron ore on the basis of the columns. I do it all in the same gray, including the street signage there. That's my 2 cents.
All right. Does anyone want to move to maybe look at additional options at another work session? Or
It seems well stated, Chris. Thank you.
I mean, I think it would be interesting to see lime wash it would certainly convey a sense of change without really compromising the.
Can we have a look
I
at, yeah, go ahead.
I just think I think a render, I think
Yeah, no,
pictures.
photographs of examples. Yeah, would be.
Do we want to look at the motions or should we just move to? Could I look at the motions just to build off what they say, to propose what we're thinking?
So the one motion that I had prepared was for approval of paint scheme option number X with updates to the design drawings. Then based on the most recent conversation, a motion to consider alternate coatings in a future work session.
I'd be happy to make that motion if that second motion.
Should we add some guidance in that motion?
Yeah. Is the applicant open to any alternative scheme or not?
We can take another look at it and like try to find some photos. It's going to be extremely difficult to depict in a drawing what a lime wash color might look like. But happy to try to find some photos out there of something that's close. I can work with our manufacturers and see what we can come up with, and then come back and show again. And go from there.
But you're open to lime wash potentially. Don't know.
Our preference would be to paint.
Yeah.
Because that's something we can easily match and repair if we have to. But if that's what we have to do to continue to move forward, then we're open to coming back.
Thanks.
Thank you.
you like to make the motion, Dave?
I'll make that motion as it appears.
Whatever that was.
I'll second it. Oh, to move to consider alternate coatings. I'll second that motion.
All right, if we could put that to a vote.
Who seconded? Mr. Vanderwerf?
I made it and Taro seconded.
Okay, perfect. The other way around. Okay.
Thanks.
Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
and Mr. Stoner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So we will move to other business. First is approval of the December 15th, 2025 minutes. So I'll move to approve them. If anyone would like to second.
I'll second.
All right, if we could put that to a vote.
Yes. Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
and Mr. Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Do any board members or staff have any other items for discussion?
The only thing that I have is to decide on the next meeting date. We don't have anything for the January 12th meeting. We do need to schedule something for either the 20th or the 26th. The 20th is a Tuesday. The 19th is a holiday. Could maybe see who might be available on the 20th and the 26th.
So the 20th would be preferable for me, but I don't know about others.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think I'm available either day.
Me too.
Same here. 20th. And nothing on the 12th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so since everyone available for the 20th and one prefers the 20th, let's go with that.
Right, so in that case, our next ARB meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 20th. So this meeting is adjourned until our next meeting on January 20th. And it is 2:25 by my watch.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.